Hey, Facebook. Hey, guys. Good night. Hey, Facebook. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night, everybody. I hope this is bright enough and you can hear me well. Um, I said I was going to be doing this series around lessons learned. I started it and I did promise that I didn't have any direct timetable as to which particular days I was going to be coming here and doing it. So I was pacing myself and giving myself time. And I'm here tonight to share it. So I shared a couple lessons that I think I did two. The first one was the power of the ask, and that was really looking at how we should ask for what we want, and we should not allow life to set us back, or we should not be afraid to ask for what we want. The second one I did was I'm trying to remember. So it's the power of the ask, and the other one was say no, don't take no for an answer. That's what I talked about. So those are the two that I have looked at so far in the last couple of days, and I really wanted to continue on that path today, um, in particular, and with today focusing on seeing failure as a feedback, and seeing failure as part of success, because so often we see our failures as oh my god, it's so bad, what did I do wrong, how could I have done it better, and not stopping to realize that our failure sometimes is some of our greatest success. And so I really wanted to talk about those bits real quickly today. So, for those of us who don't know me, my name is Ava, and I am the CEO and founder of The Mango Girl. I'm also a life book and business strategist, and a book coach before I became any of the other bits that you know about me. I'm a mother and many things to many people. I recently celebrated my birthday the other day, so I want to pause. I just don't want you guys to see up in my nose. I've got a really big nose, and I'm trying my hardest not to have you up in my nose. And I have this really bad habit of not fixing my camera properly. Thank God I've got clean nostrils, but nobody wants to look up in anybody's nose. So let me get that right. Um, so I celebrated my birthday on Monday. I had a lot of thank you cards and a lot of gifts and a lot of hellos from a lot of you. And I really wanted to just share it with you guys and say thank you so much for all your love and your kindness. I am all so grateful. Now, I wanted to talk about seeing failure as part of success, right? Because I really think that everybody needs to see failure as part of success. And so often we don't realize that failure is part of success, because we see failure as, oh my God, I can't do it. It's not going to happen to me, blah, 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 right? But the reality is that if we actually sit there and we try to understand the lessons that we learned out of what we went through, or the lessons learned, and how we're going to take those and apply them to our lives, to our next step, then that can actually be a valuable, successful lesson. And everybody who I know who has succeeded in one thing or another has gone through some elements of failure. I have had my own string of failure. I know a lot of successful persons who have had theirs, and everybody we can look at and identify them as successful, they've gone through their own failure. I also want to use this opportunity to talk about what does success look like to you, because we need to actually understand, to us, what does success really mean? What does success look like? Success looks different for everybody, right? So to me, being able to look after my kids single-handedly when I was forced to is a successful thing for me. I find that huge success. To somebody else, success might mean having the nicest car, the nicest house, the nicest of everything. It really is key that you define what success is for you. And when you understand what success looks like for you, then you can use your own benchmark to identify whether or not you are successful. Now, success for me means that you're going to fail, because failure is part of the success matrix. And a lot of people fail to see that. And a lot of people fail to see that failure is feedback, right? Failure is involved in success. It's not possible to have success, I think, without failure. I think that failure is key to success. I think that failure is literally telling you that you are near to the success ladder, right? And one of the most essential and important senses most human beings possess is pain. And pain allows us to learn quickly from our mistakes, right? Pain allows us to pick up ourselves from falling over, bumping into things, and dropping something on your foot, for example. And the pain involved in that quickly pushes you and allow you to literally react and get yourself together. So I actually believe that in the same way that if you want to succeed, you have to go through some pain. And as a business person, I understand that far too well, that you are going to fail sometimes. And no company or no person is successful at everything. That's something we have to understand. But failure can teach us a lot. And when we understand that failure can teach us a lot, then we actually will start succeeding. So I want you to understand that failure says that we must try and then try again. Try and then try again. When I think of Edison, when I think of Colonel, for the Colonel for KFC, when I think of all of those people who've had to pick themselves up and they've had to go back to the drawing board, I think that it's very demonstrative that failure has been a huge part of their success. And failure won't kill you necessarily unless you allow it to. But success without failure, I don't think is always attainable. So for those of us who are there and you're wondering, how does success lead to failure? Um, I'm gonna say to you, failure isn't really failure. Failure is about learning. If you learn from your mistakes, you're making progress. That's how I look at my life. Every time I learn from my mistake, I see that as making progress. Every time I learn, and I've made a lot of mistakes, that's progress. If you're given the opportunity to give it another go, you have to take it. You'll do it differently. And that might lead to success. And so, for a number of us who have tried something and it didn't work and we stop and we give up, I want to say to you that the thing about failing that I've learned in my own life and in my own journey is that it builds resiliency, right? The more you fail, the more resilient you become, right? In order to achieve great success, we must know that resiliency. That resilience must is important, because if we think that we're going to succeed, guys, on the first try, or even the first tries, then we're sure to set ourselves up for failure and more pain. Most times, we do not succeed at the first go. It takes a few trials and a few times, a few going and going back to the drawing board and modifying. I just did a trial that we spent £10,000 on. £10,000. A lot of money. We paid £10,000 for the trial. We're trying to prove a concept for the Mango Girl. You guys know the Mango Girl. And we paid scientists, we paid labs, we paid all kind of people, 10 grand. And when the result, I remember it was 3 weeks ago, I think it was, or 4 weeks ago. It was a Friday evening. I wasn't feeling very well. Oh, by the way, I just put some mango butter on my lips. Literally, our butters are head to toe. I wasn't feeling very well. I'm gonna drop the Mango Girl link here for you guys to use, because I don't really care. I think you should check us out now that I'm mentioning it. It wasn't gonna be part of the live, but since I mentioned it, I'm gonna drop it here. And I was literally on my way to my bed. It was 3 weeks ago, and the results came in very late from the lady who was commissioned to collect the results from the lab. And I was in my bed and I felt really ill, and the results came back and they were not great. The efficacy we're trying to achieve 70% efficacy, and it came back with 70% for everything other than what I was trying to achieve. I mean, 10 grand later, £10,000 later, right? We've been working on this for months, like just at the beginning of COVID, and it's meant to take 12 weeks or so. It took us months, and then it came back and the efficacy was 20% for the thing that I particularly wanted. And I felt disappointed. I felt gutted. I felt angry. At first, I was angry at the scientists, and I was like, blah, blah, blah. And it took me about a week to really sit down and appreciate that these things take time. It means that we tried it once. We have to go back to the drawing board. And I remember calling Dario. You guys know Dario is on my team. And I said to Dario, I'm gutted, I'm angry. We spent £10,000 in COVID. Who's got the kind of money to spend? Blah, 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 blah. And Daria said to me, but Ava, you're not starting from the beginning. You're starting with 20% efficacy. Let's go back to the drawing board and work on it. And it really took me by say it actually sunk in, and I was like, you're right. I didn't want to hear it, but he was right. And so I actually accepted that we hadn't failed, that we were just saying we did not do something right, that the formulation needed some modification. So I went back to the scientists and we sat down, we went back to the drawing board, and I had meetings with the lab, and we're now looking to go back and not start from scratch, but work on what we have. And so often that's what we need to do. We need to actually realize that failure, or what we consider as failure, is saying you need to go back to the drawing board. There's a step that you missed. It's like you're climbing up some steps on the stairs and you jumped a step. And failure is saying to you, you jumped a step, you missed a step, you did not analyze something well, you did not look at this properly, you did not forecast something right. And that's how I see failure. I see failure as part of success. I see failure as feedback. I see failure as a driver and a part of what is going to push you to eventually get what you're trying to achieve. And when we understand that there are several valuable lessons, I have a meeting at 9:30, y'all, and I can't afford to miss it. It's a very important meeting. When we understand that failure is an important part of the success values. I think it was J.K. Rowling that said it is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you have failed by default. And if you know the story of J.K. Rowling's, you guys know that she was turned down several times, a single mother. Nobody wanted to look at her books. And then Harry Potter went on to be the most sold book of all times. So take it from somebody like J.K. Rowling. And failure is important because, as much as it hurts, it is an important part of life. In fact, failure is necessary. It is necessary. I have failed so many times, more than I want to admit. And I'm not talking about small failures. I'm talking about the kind of failure that rock your world, completely altering the landscape of your relationship, your finances, your mental well-being, and your mental health. Trust me when I say to you. And if you're anything like me, then you're almost most likely failed many times over. I can't say that I particularly enjoy failing, but failure, through its long life altering lessons, has made me a better person. And I'm just being honest. Failure happens, and failure is there. And some of the most I can think of 12 some of the most famous people who have failed. Like, remember that there's some really famous people who have failed. Jim Carrey, for example. Jim Carrey, as well known as he is, he actually failed, right? I remember him talking about how he would, put this check in his wallet, and he would, literally continue, and he would put it in his wallet and think it's gonna happen one day. He was so poor that he had to drop out of high school at the age of 15 and get a job as a janitor just to support his family. And on his first stand-up comedy called Yuck Yuck in Toronto, he was booed off stage. Today, you know him. He focused on the laws of attraction, and he's worth a lot of money. So that's just one person. And then Katy Perry, you don't know that she struggled, and she went through finally breaking up. A lot of things in her life went wrong. She dropped out of high school, when she was pursuing a singing career, and it didn't work out. And then she flopped a number of times, and then she's gone back. Oprah Winfrey, we all know about her story. Jay-Z, he failed. J.K. Rowling, I just talked about her. Stephen King, one of the most prolific writers I know. Bill Gates, failed at something. Henry Ford failed. I'm just listening to them. You can go and look at their stories. Colonel Sanders, KFC, I talked about him earlier. Thomas Edison, we talked about him. Walt Disney failed. Sir John Dyson. And these are all people we know. We know them. And they all failed, but they all have something in common. And is that, hi, Dr. Peters, and is that they all have succeeded in the end. So I want to leave you by saying to you that I want you to stop seeing failure as a bad thing. I want you to understand that failure is important. Michael Jordan said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game winning shot and I missed. I've failed over and over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. That is what the great Michael Jordan said. He has missed 9,000 shots in his career. So, lesson number one, failure is experience. Lesson number two, failure gives you knowledge. Number three, failure adds resiliency. Failure adds growth. Failure has value. Those are the things I want you to know. Ignore the naysayer. Understand that it's okay to fail. Realize that it's okay to fail. Using failure as leverage. Revisit your goals. Create massive action plan. How am I going to do this differently? What have I learned from this? And so if you understand, like Michael Jordan has said, that the reason that he succeeds is because of how many times he has failed, then I encourage you to go failing, because the quicker you fail is the quicker you will succeed. So let me repeat that. The quicker you fail is the quicker you will succeed. And I'm really sharing these life lessons because I just recently was part of a book, and part of that series asked me to talk about some of my life lessons as a business person and in my personal life. And as you follow my journey, guys, you know it. I don't hide it. I'm very transparent about it. I've failed. I've had a lot of failures in relationship, for example. I've been single now for 7 years. It's a long time because I have failed. So I just want to remind you of that. And I want to say to you that failure should be your motivation. Let failure motivate you. And as a life coach, as a business coach, as a book coach, if there's something that you're sitting there, you want to start, but you've been failing at it, and you want to have a conversation about how I can serve or support you, by all means, let's talk about it. Inbox me, DM me, come and let's talk about it. But I have to go now. I've got a meeting at 9:30, and I need to prep for that. But just go failing. The quicker you fail, the quicker success will come. It's Dr. Ava Eagle Brown. I'm so excited that I could share with you today, because I've been absent a lot. I've been trying to just cope with lockdown, parenting, just life, and just as I told you guys in one of my videos, I'm being more gracious to myself because I need to be. So I speak to you guys later. Have a great rest of the week. If I can support you, please let me know. I coach, I mentor, I keep you accountable, and I am there as somebody who has failed many times over, and I look forward to serving you. If I can serve you as a coach, let me know. As a strategist, let me know. And please visit my website. The Mango Girl is right there. And support us. Follow us on Instagram, The Mango Girl 2 and Dr. Ava Brown. And let's continue this conversation. But fail and fail forward. The quicker you fail, the quicker you succeed. God bless you. Bye for now.